This year, the town of Melrose, which sits in the shadow of Mount Remarkable, celebrates its 150th year. And its stories now form the basis of Meredith Resce's historical novel, One Remarkable Year. As a former local girl, she caught the school bus through town, watched the changing of the seasons, and tapped into the rhythms of life in a quiet but close-knit country town.
One Remarkable Year is my attempt at looking at the township and community of Melrose, more the characters of the people in Melrose during that time, their values, their community spirit, the life of the town.
One Remarkable Year is a piece of historical fiction set in the 1960s. The characters who inhabit the pages of this village drama are gleaned from Meredith's 20-year love affair with this southern Flinders town. An amalgam of different eras drawing on dramatic events, like the famous 1988 bushfire.
Burning through dry grass, the blaze spread quickly, roaring down hillsides and ravaging acres of land. A huge cloud of smoke hung over Melrose as the country fire service continued to fight.
I think that bushfire would have lasted something like 3 weeks. I think the high crisis would have probably been about 10 to 12 days of high crisis. A lot of them told me stories where how they got out was probably by the grace of God alone, and that would be it. And remarkably, as the title suggests, that bushfire went through and not one loss of life. Many come close, but not one loss of life.
In One Remarkable Year, a reporter, Clary Brown, comes back to Melrose to cover the bushfire. He spent his school days here and, on returning, recalls a school excursion to the town's well-known memorial monument. Today, it's a reminder of the sacrifices that so many country towns have made. In the book, it reminds Clary and his fellow students of a conversation about one of their older mates, Jeff Arthur, who's called up for national service in Vietnam.
They said, well, I thought they were old fellows, you know, old blokes, you know, the blokes that come up here for the Anzac service that died. And they said, no, when they went to the war, they were only 19, just like Jeff is only 20. He's going to a war.
So they're young kids?
And they were young kids, and they didn't come home. They didn't bring them back. When they died, they buried them somewhere in France or somewhere in North Africa.
And now it overlooks a pretty town which became known as the Emporium of the North, the last staging post for those who needed a horse shod or a wagon wheel repaired at Bluey Bluntstone's blacksmith shop. In the book, Meredith Resce's creative imagination draws on recollections of what it looked like to a young girl growing up in Melrose.
It was right next to my grandma's house, and we used to hurry past it because we used to spread stories that there were ghosts in there or something like that. And I actually, you know, make a bit of a play of that and then contrast it to the fact that now it's quite a nice little cafe.
Melrose, with its historic Jackers Brewery and its classic Aussie pubs, offers an ideal setting for a story about country life in the 60s. And throughout, Mount Remarkable dominates, providing the setting for a winter drama about Boy Scouts gone missing in the snow. But regardless of the season, for Meredith, it's the mountain which makes this town one of the prettiest in South Australia.
It's so beautiful. It's not like a lot of the other little towns on the plain that don't have the mountain. The mountain is quite remarkable. It really is.
Melrose and Mount Remarkable are about 260 kilometres from Adelaide. Meredith's novel, One Remarkable Year, is on sale at all Dimmicks and Coorong bookstores.
So, happy 150th to the Melrose mob. And we'll see you next week.